Hey there, this is Shruti, and in today's video, I'm sharing with you 9 marketing tips to grow your traffic, your brand, and business using Pinterest. Tip number 1 is to create a business account and activate rich pins. Now, if you're using Pinterest for business, you want to make sure that you're actually creating a business account instead of a personal account. When you use Pinterest for business, by the means of having a Pinterest business account, then you have access to special features such as being able to claim your website, being able to use ads, as well as having access to special audience insights for Pinterest. Once you've created your business account, it's important to connect your main domain or your brand or business website to your Pinterest account as well, so that Pinterest can always know where it is exactly that you're pinning content from, as well as to activate rich pins. Now, rich pins essentially include the metadata that is required for Pinterest to understand exactly what your content is all about. Is it an article? Is it a product? Is it an app? Or is it a piece of software that Pinterest needs to tag and assign values to? When you activate rich pins on your website, that helps Pinterest not only assign values and rank your content on Pinterest search, but it also helps your content get seen and discovered on Google search as well. Tip number 2 is to upload custom pins to your Pinterest account. Now, when you're using Pinterest as a personal user, you probably just save random pins all over the place to different types of boards, right? Saving cute images on your Pinterest account isn't going to cut it anymore if you are planning to use Pinterest for business. This means that you need to be creating specific images which are in the 2:3 vertical format that Pinterest recommends in order to actually grow your brand presence on Pinterest. When it comes to creating pins that are custom for your brand and business, you want to ensure that your pins are one, in the right format, but also they have some kind of text overlay that actually makes it clear to the person who comes across it on Pinterest to understand exactly what it is that your brand or business does. Now, you can check out my video on how to create the perfect pin on Pinterest so you can learn exactly what it takes to create a pin on Pinterest that brings you more traffic and more conversions. Tip number 3 is to create personal boards using keywords. Now, there are many ways that someone can find you on Pinterest. They could find you by coming across your pin, or they could find you by coming across your board. Now, a board is simply a collection of pins in a certain category. So think of your personal boards as different categories that represent your brand or business. My Pinterest profile has tons of boards which are broadly in the category of personal growth, travel, making money online, social media marketing, etc., which essentially represents all of the categories that I talk about through my website and my businesses. The easiest way for you to find the right keywords for your personal boards is simply to head to the Pinterest native search toolbar, put in the topic that you want to create a board for, and see all of the related boards that come up, as well as related topic ideas that come up as well. You can simply use these categories as your board title, or you can take it a step further and make them much more in-depth and detailed as well. Instead of just creating boards that don't make a lot of sense for your brand and business, take the time to actually do a little bit of research and create boards that are keyword optimized, as well as are what your ideal audience can find you with. And lastly, don't forget to add 30 to 40 pins in each of your personal boards, because no one wants to come across a board which is completely empty or doesn't really have a lot of pins, because that doesn't really give your user a reason to follow your brand or your business on Pinterest. Tip number 4 is to join relevant group boards. Now, while personal boards are a great place for you to start and actually create a presence on Pinterest for your business, group boards are what you need to actually amplify that reach. When you have a personal board, you are the sole contributor to that board, and you're the only one who's actually allowed to save pins and share stuff from that board. However, when you're part of a group board, you actually have multiple contributors that can have access to your content, save, repin, and reshare that content, which essentially helps you amplify and multiply your reach way beyond what you could reach with just your personal boards. There are 2 ways that you can find out which are the right group boards for you to join. The first way to find the right group boards is to simply search by the category of your niche by boards, and then look for boards which are specifically group boards. You can easily find that with the circle icon where you will see multiple images, which means that there is more than one contributor to this board. The second method is to use an external tool such as PinGroupie, which actually shows you all of the specific niche related group boards that you can find and join, as well as how many contributors they have, and much more information to understand which boards would be right for you. The key here is to actually join group boards which are, 1, high quality, so that you can actually see that the images pinned there are high quality and not spammy images, as well as 2, they're relevant for your brand and business, because if you join irrelevant boards, it isn't really going to help you expand your reach on Pinterest. Tip number 5 is to add a call to action in your bio. Now, your Pinterest bio is your prime real estate when it comes to all of the new users coming across your profile. So that's why you want to make sure that if you have a newsletter, if you have a lead magnet or an opt-in, or if you simply have a website or an online store that you want to direct your customers or your users to, then that's where you should be adding in that link. If you run out of space on your Pinterest bio, you can always use a shortener like bit.ly to create a specific URL for the landing page where you want your visitors to end up. Tip number 6 is to select and showcase featured boards. Now, featured boards are simply boards which provide an overview of what your profile is all about. Eventually, as you grow your brand and presence on Pinterest, you're probably going to have tons of boards, including your personal boards as well as your group boards. When a new visitor actually comes across your profile on Pinterest, you want them to have access to the best of your boards. So your featured boards are essentially going to be the boards that are the most visited, as well as the categories that you want to represent and send most of your audience to. So in my profile, you can find out boards on personal development, on Pinterest marketing, on how to start an online business, etc., which are some of my top categories and the categories that I want to pull most of my audience into. Tip number 7 is to make your pins shareable. Now, it's not enough to just simply upload the pins and forget all about it. You also want to make sure that people who are actually visiting your store or your business website are saving your pins from there as well. So there are 2 things that you can do to make sure that your pins are shareable. The first thing that you can do is to simply add pins to the relevant blog posts or the landing pages where you're sending your customers or your ideal audience to. What this will do is that it will guide the readers or visitors of your website to actually save your pins back to their Pinterest account, which will further grow your reach on Pinterest as well. The second thing that you can do to make your pins more shareable is to simply download a plugin such as the Pinterest hover button, which essentially makes all of the images on your website pinnable. This means that every time a visitor finds a cool article or a cool product on your website, they can immediately save it to their Pinterest account with the help of this small button. Tip number 8 is to become an active pinner. Now, Pinterest isn't really a set it and forget it kind of platform. You do need to consistently engage with the platform to actually grow your presence as well as your reach there. According to the latest Pinterest algorithm update, they actually really favor fresh pins and images, which means that the more fresh content that you actually upload and create on Pinterest, the higher your chances of ranking on search as well as getting a lot of traffic back to your website and business. To become an active pinner, I highly recommend to spend a couple of minutes every day or every few days on Pinterest actively pinning your images to your personal boards as well as to your group boards and saving other people's content to your profile as well. Think of your profile as a curated feed of sorts of all of the different categories that your brand or business represents on Pinterest. Now, the easiest strategy for you to start with is a 60-40 strategy where you actually pin 60% of your own content and 40% of others' content. However, as time grows and you have more and more pins and more content on Pinterest, you can move this ratio up to 70-30 or even 80-20 in favor of your own pins. Not only is it important to be consistent on Pinterest to be considered an active pinner, you also want to make sure that your pins are actually high quality images as well as you're not repeating the same pin images over and over again, because that is going to be considered as spam and that is going to lower the organic reach of your account. Tip number 9 is to use analytics to grow your account. Now, remember what we said about having a business account? One of the cool perks of having a business account is that you have access to a plethora of insights within the platform itself. So you can simply head to the analytics tab and head to audience insights to actually check out more about who exactly your audience is. You can not only find out average representations of who exactly is on Pinterest, but you can specifically look into who your followers are, where they're based, what their age is, what their gender is, as well as what are the top categories and interests that they have. Now, you can use these insights not only to create new boards as well as new pins, but you can also use it to plan new content as well as new products in the future once you know exactly what your ideal audience is and what they would like to see more of on your account. Not only can you leverage the analytics on Pinterest to understand who your audience is, but you can also use it to understand exactly what kind of content is performing well for your audience. So you can head into your analytics and see how many impressions each of your pins are getting. You can see what are your top performing pins. The reason why you want to look into this is so that you can actually create more of these top pins because you know that they're already working well with your audience. If you want to learn more about exactly what it takes to build a step-by-step strategy to grow your Pinterest traffic, don't forget to check out my Pinterest traffic masterclass, which is also linked down in the description box below. So that's it for this video. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more such weekly videos on how to grow your audience income and impact online. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.